Dear friends, welcome in virtual video class of English drama. Hope all of you are happy, healthy and safe. Be remain relaxed and do not take stress. Dear students, we are learning module number 6, comedy as a form. In this unit, we discussed on origin of comedy, history of comedy, and we also completed discussion on definition of comedy and elements of comedy. Now, in last video, I explained types of comedy. Near about 13 comedies. Just a minute. Yes. In last video, I explained 13 types of comedies. Out of them, we completed discussion on 3 types. First is classical comedy, second is romantic comedy, and third is comedy of humors. Let's discuss today on comedy of minors, comedy of sentimental and comedy of errors. And remaining types we will discuss in next forthcoming video. Okay, let's start comedy of minors. Comedy of minors deals with the elite class of the society. Here, elite class means aristocratic class or upper class or higher class or modern, highly educated or highly modern class. So, comedy of minors deals with aristocratic class of society and their manners. Manners means here how they speak, how they talk, how they wear clothes or their dress, their walking, all things, all manners were exposed in comedy of manners. In nature, comedy of minor is satirical like comedy of humors. There is highly resemblance between the comedy of humors and comedy of minors. Its main purpose is to bring about reforms in society of dramatist age. The intention, in short, the main aim of the comedy of minors or the main intention of comedy of minors is correcting society or reform the society. Okay. Then when we turn back towards the origin of comedy of minors, we learn that origin is in new comedy of Greek Mendel, and new comedy differs from the old comedy of Aristophanes. Mendel's new comedy differs from the old comedy of Aristophanes. When we again go back and see the characteristics in medieval age or in Elizabethan age, we see characteristics of comedy of minors in Shakespeare's Love's Labour Lost and Much Ado About Nothing. Both these plays are the good example of comedy of minors. This form of comedy was given a high polish in Restoration period. 1660 to 1700 is the period of Restoration, or this period is known as the Restoration period, and all comedies written in this period is known as the comedy of minors. In reality, comedy of minors inhabited from French writer Molière, and this type of comedy or the comedy of minors deals with the relations and intrigues of men and women living in sophisticated upper class society. It relieves a comic effect on the wit and sparkle of the dialogue, often in the form of repartees. Here, one thing also noted, or in Restoration period, each person tries to remark on other, and everyone use other persons for their own advantage, and that's why The same thing is exposed in comedy of manners, or the same nature of human being is exposed in comedy of manners. So the characters from comedy of manners also remarks other characters, and they use other characters for own benefit only. When we think about the best examples of comedy of manners, Sheridan's rivals, William Congrew's The Way of the World, William Wycherley's The Comic Country Wife are the best examples. Here one thing is notable, that we find mastery of wit in comedy of manners. So these are some characteristics regarding comedy of manners. I think all of you understand the comedy of manners, which deals with man-woman relationship and intrigues of aristocratic class or upper class or highly modern class. Then, when we think about the purpose behind writing comedy of manners, the intention of the dramatist is to reform the society or correct the society. When we go back and look in origin, we find that new comedy of Greek Mendar is the origin. It differs from the old comedy of Aristophanes. We already discussed about the comedies of Aristophanes. Near about 14 comedies were written by Aristophanes, but 11 were survived. And these comedies are based on totally love and sex. So, new comedies differs from the old comedies. Then one more thing and most notable is that comedy of manners inherited from the French writer Malevre, and its nature is satirical, and we find master of wit in comedy of manners. Let's turn towards next type of comedy, that is sentimental comedy. Sentimental comedy took birth out of comedy of manners. Means sentimental comedy is outcome of comedy of manners. It represented 18th century middle class. On the other hand, comedy of manners represented upper class people, and sentimental comedy represents 18th century middle class life and its reaction against what had come to be considered immorality of situations. It is a reaction. Sentimental comedy is reaction against immorality of situation in a restoration period, or immoral situation exposed in manner of comedy. So, it is in short, sentimental comedy is reaction against comedy of manners. Here, author focuses on sentiments and emotional traits of characters. Emotions and feelings of characters are very important. Dramatist, playwright, author, writer mean here focus on the sentimental and emotional traits, characteristics of characters. Characters' feelings, emotions are very important here, and all these emotions, feelings are exposed in sentimental comedy. Such comedies were composed by Oliver Goldsmith, Oscar Wilde. Oliver Goldsmith's She Stoops to Conquer, and Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest are well-known sentimental comedies. The importance of being earnest we studied in last semester, and we learned it as a through perspective of sentimental comedy also. So let's turn towards one more type, that is comedy of errors. With the title of this type, we learn that this type of comedy related with errors. In comedy of errors, playwright or dramatist dwells upon errors on the part of characters. Errors is very important here. Errors are exposed here. Mostly, errors occurred due to mistaken identity and other means also. Here, in Comedy of Errors, every character is not aware of what is going on. Means, characters from this comedy are unaware of what is going on in this drama. This type of drama or this type of comedy is borrowed by the Roman playwright Terence, who wrote number of comedies of errors. Comedy of Errors deals with mistaken identity, separation of twins, and sea sorrows. Such issues are exposed in Comedy of Errors, especially focused on the mistaken identity, separation of twins, and sea sorrows. And in Comedy of Errors, up to the end of the play, mystery of characters totally resolved. In the Comedy of Errors, mystery of characters totally resolved means up to the end, every character from this play learns the real situation and they became aware what happened and what is the current situation. When we think about the best example, Shakespeare's Twelfth Night is the best examples of Comedy of Errors, and this Twelfth Night deals with mistaken identity. I think all of you learns what is Comedy of Errors. Comedy of Errors deals with the errors of characters, and most of the errors occurs because of mistaken identity or the separation of twins or scissors. And when we think about the characters, all characters from the plays are not aware of what is going on in play or other things. And one more thing is that Comedy of Errors inhabited or borrowed by the Roman writer Terence, who writes Comedy of Errors first. And here also we note that up to the end of the play, mystery of characters totally resolved and every character learned the real situation. Okay, we stop here. Thank you very much.